I was sitting in a pageant earlier this year, and it's a pageant that I've been to on multiple occasions. And I was a bit taken aback. I looked around the room. I knew the room quite well because I'd been there several times. And there was just no one in the crowd. The crowd seemed to be about half the size that it had been in previous years. And I don't know if you've noticed a similar trend. Obviously, I'm in Australia. I don't know if you're in Australia watching this, whether you're in the UK, the US, somewhere else, but here in Australia, the trend, from my experience at least, very much in pageantry has been downhill in terms of how many girls are competing, how many people are in the audience, and unfortunately that means the prices to attend and probably to enter as well have gone up. And to me, that is not the sign of a healthy industry. I mean, if your industry is growing, obviously the numbers should be increasing and the costs hopefully should be coming down. And as someone who really is a fan of not so much of pageantry, but certainly of women's empowerment and that aspect that exists in pageantry, that was concerning to me. And I wanted to get a bunch of people together, a bunch of pageant competitors, to discuss what they thought the issues were in pageantry, at least here in Australia. And not just what the issues were, but what could be done about it. One of the benefits that I've had, one of the rewards I've had from my, 3 years plus of being inside the pageantry industry and interviewing so many of them and networking with others, is that I do have a network that I can call on to sound out some ideas. And that's what I did. So in this video or this podcast episode, you'll see or hear from Rachel Gallagher, who's Miss Australia Regency International, and she's been competing in pageantry at the time of recording about probably 8 months. And then Ruby Adamson, who's Miss Australia International. I got to be careful with that because there's Miss International Australia. They're not the same. So she's Miss Australia International. She's just finished competing overseas. She's been involved in pageantry for years. I mean, she's only 19, but I think she probably started when she was 13, so a good 5 or 6 years. Maddie May, who's Royal International Miss Australia Pacific, or she's since we recorded, she's finished that competition. But at time of recording, she was, and she's also been very heavily involved in pageantry and modelling. And then Sarah Copeland, who's a bit of a newbie. She started in Miss World this year, so 3 or 4 months ago, and she's about to compete in Miss International Australia in less than a week. So between the 4 of them and myself, there's a whole plethora of different amounts of experience, different experiences, as in being involved in different pageants. And this really was just kind of a spitballing, me asking what they thought needed to happen, what was wrong with the pageantry system, and what could be done about it. And I would love, if you're watching this, to really let me know your thoughts, particularly if you're in Australia, because obviously that's my main interest at the moment, being in Australia. But if you're in a country where you think pageantry needs to see some changes, I'd love to, honestly, let me know below in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook. If you're listening on the podcast, leave the comments below. Or if you can't do that, send me an email on info@thepageantproject.com. Or just send me a DM on any of my social media. I'm easily contactable that way. Because I do not believe that any one person, and that one person being myself, can ever have all the solutions. Having said that, I do believe we need to open up a conversation as to where pageantry is going and how it can stay relevant. I think that was my biggest concern, because I think if an industry, the numbers are going down, that's because, to me, it means that it's no longer relevant. And if pageantry truly is about women's empowerment, then it should be super, super relevant at the moment. So let me know your comments below and enjoy the video. Hey everyone, it's Aidan from the Pageant Project. As Maddie May said, I would say, and Ruby is the one who's lost it already. We are doing our first sort of panel podcast here, and I have 1, 2, 3 queens and a queen in training. We're going to go around the table first so that they can all introduce themselves. Mind you, most of them are familiar faces. So why don't we start with the shoulder wiggler over here. So Ruby, go introduce yourself, and if you want to say a bit about the campaign you're running at the moment as well, that'd be a good thing.
Hi everyone, my name's Ruby Adamson and I'm Miss Australia International for 2019. Don't make fun of me. And the campaign that I'm currently running is the You Are campaign, which is all about unlocking the power of positivity. And I'm currently doing a challenge at the moment, so if you do want to look more into that and actually be a part of that, you can look that up on Facebook.
Very nice. And you're heading overseas?
In about 3 weeks.
So we're recording this on the 22nd of June. Almost all of these people are going overseas very soon. It's kind of scary.
To America.
To America.
It kind of is.
It's another world.
Sarah, you're up.
Hi, I'm Sarah Copeland, and I'm currently a national finalist for Miss International Australia 2019.
Perfect. Maddie May.
Yes. I've done this a few times, but I'm Maddie May, your Royal International Miss Australia Pacific, and I'm running a campaign called #It'sOkToBeMe, which is why the girls came here today to support me, and we decided to film this campaign. So, yeah.
You did say your title, right? I was too busy pushing the Jellybeans towards you
I did.
in anticipation. And when are you going overseas?
In a week.
Jeez. And you just got back from India 2 days ago. Okay. Last but not least, Toast Girl.
Oh my god. My name is Rachel Gallagher. I am Miss Australia Regency International 2019.
Okay, and when are you going overseas?
On 17th of July.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You want to give your patented yes?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. If you've watched any of our content, and I use the word content loosely, particularly the gaming streams, these two particular, I've actually never met before today. One took photos of that, but at that point they actually thought they were normal. Now they know otherwise.
Now we know we're both not normal.
That has a name.
Oh.
It does?
Oh.
Wow.
What are you? Hey, Rach.
Hi.
Okay, so we've had a fun day, obviously. If you're wondering why there are bowls in front of us,
We're being punished.
these bowls hold Jellybeans with a bit of a difference. Some of them taste great.
Rachel, your face. Rachel's like...
And some of them taste like... Well, Ruby, how would you describe them? I mean, you've done a YouTube video with these before. How would you describe the worst tasting one?
Vomit worthy. That's all I'm saying. They're not
So
good.
we at the moment, if anyone does a brain fart, which is an an or a like, they're going to have to partake from the bowl of horror. So if any of these girls are speaking very slowly, it's because
We're thinking.
yes, and silence is better than a brain fart. Okay. But what I wanted to discuss was where, obviously, aside from Sarah is a bit newer to the pageant scene. This one's had a fair bit of experience, gone very far in 6-7 months.
7 months, yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
And then these two, I just said, I was like,
Yes.
let me finish this first. These two have a crazy amount of experience between them. So I wanted to see where they thought it was going, but it entered my mind because I actually have to really think of my announcements.
It's a terrible idea. I told you this.
It's your idea,
Yes, but
so
I
you
had
can't
it, so I
complain.
can't complain about it. Well, I can. But I've been to a few, I'm not going to name systems, obviously, but I've been to a few pageants this year and at the tail end of last year. And the competitors' numbers have gone down and the audience numbers in particular have gone down as well. I don't know if you guys have seen the prices to attend as part of the pageants as well. They've gone up.
Yeah.
Eye-wateringly like so when you are someone like me and you're going to all these pageants and it's a lot of money. But if Ruby sneezes, I'm
gonna cry.
happy. She has the
Adrian,
world's
you
cutest
just said,
sneeze.
but if Ruby sneezes, which means you said,
That's
but.
fine.
That's okay. That's okay. But you get one for pulling me up on one that doesn't exist. Okay, so let us get into this, and I guess let's start with a higher level sort of just ideas as to maybe why don't we start with some of the things that we've observed in pageantry, especially you three, and maybe some of the things that we've loved about it, to be fair, because otherwise if we're just going to rag on it, there's no point, and that's not what we're here to do.
This is not a rant video.
No, it's not, although we might go on rants. But we started that way last time, so we'll go this way.
Oh, okay, great.
This time. So
Alright,
why
what do you
don't,
wanna know?
and you've been in about 6 months, and obviously you're wearing the title on your head, which I would assume means you want to keep going in pageantry.
Yeah.
And there have been some positive and some, maybe let's say not so positive, but I'll let you go for it. And I'm going to try and Maddie May.
Excuse me? I pulled you up on it.
Oh, you were
You were
wrong.
incorrect.
Oh,
No, the whole
you got to do the whole thing.
It's stinky sauce.
I don't know what this is, but I don't want it. But I'm going to
What
swallow.
was it?
I don't even remember.
Your eyes are watering.
Do you realise there's a bin next to you?
Right there.
Just go for your answer.
Okay, sorry. So what was the first part of the question?
Just tell us about some of your observations from pageantry. What have you been enthused about?
Oh, okay.
And maybe some of the things that you'd like to change.
Oh, all right. Well, some of the things I really liked, because pageantry is really new for me. So I only did my first pageant at the end of last year. And that was really interesting for me because I had never really seen pageants before in Australia. The only thing I knew about it was toddlers and tiaras. Exactly. And that's not really a great representation of pageants as a whole, especially Miss pageants. I really thank you very much. I'm not eating it.
You're so welcome.
This is a bad idea and I blame you.
Stressful, isn't it?
I know. Oh, I'm going to have a pile of them. I liked. Oh God. I can't.
We'll let you off. Okay, one per rant.
Okay, one parent.
Go for
Thank
it
you,
now.
Thank you. I liked the fact that I met a lot of people that I wouldn't have otherwise have met. I know a lot of people say that, but it's true. Like, you wouldn't have met all these different types of people from different walks of life, interested in different things, different talents, different skills, and I wouldn't have learnt the amount of things that I've learnt so far. I didn't know anything about modelling, anything about posing, anything about wearing a swimsuit on stage, which is what I did a few weeks ago, even in Miss Grand.
Australia.
And yeah, I had never done that before. And that was something that was a really big experience for me. What else was the question?
Okay, so those are the things that you seem to have enjoyed.
Yeah, those are the things I've enjoyed.
What are maybe some of the things that you would like to see change, or aspects you haven't enjoyed as much?
Aspects I haven't enjoyed as much. Now, I really enjoy fundraising and I really like being part of charity, but there's also that other side of it where people are fundraising just because they have to fundraise and they're not actually connecting to the cause so much. And I think there are expectations put on it where you must raise a certain amount of money and people kind of
Dollar amounts?
Yeah, exactly, dollar amounts. And if you don't raise that much, then I felt that I kind of failed a little bit in that sort of area.
I think there should be more of a focus on going out and helping people and doing good and doing it and spending your time on it as opposed to just getting money for a charity.
Yeah.
Because some people are really blessed to have parents that are very, stable financially and can just give them a lot of money, whereas other people don't have that.
But the thing is, do you want your parents to do that? Because you're not really earning the title then. It's not really you. It's
You're kind of buying
parents. Yeah, exactly. It's your parents that are making it so they can afford to give that to you. And not everyone has that, like you said. But I don't think it's fair to expect people to raise, exorbitant amounts of money when there's so much going on and everything is very saturated now with all that sort of stuff. Difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well said. I completely agree with it. Maddie, do you want to go? I'll let you.
Well, let's see how bad this is.
Nope. Nope.
There's a tissue.
Nope.
just so you know, these flavours are...
Flavors.
Can you pass me the box?
I hate you.
I'm not the one that did the brain fart. Okay, so if you don't know, Ruby, do you want to eloquently describe what is in this box whilst I get the flavours?
Satan. Just sum it up in one word. But there's just a bunch of different flavours and 2 jelly beans will look exactly the same, but one flavour is absolutely horrible and one's absolutely delicious.
What colour was the one that you had? Yellow, I think.
I don't know.
I think you had a yellow one.
It could be the rotten egg.
Yeah, so if you have a look, there's this twiddler thing.
Shall we go through them?
Yes, okay, so yellow is buttered popcorn or rotten egg.
Mm-hmm.
You apparently had rotten egg.
Yep.
Juicy pear or booger. Strawberry banana smoothie
Ooh.
or dead fish.
Oh.
As opposed
That's
to
a really
live
big
fish.
difference.
You had one.
Lime or lawn clippings. That's probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
You've done this before. Lime clipping, like lemon lawn
It
clippings.
tastes like childhood.
Tastes like what?
Childhood.
Because you ate grass?
I mean, who didn't as a kid? Let's be real.
Okay.
Licorice or skunks. Tastes like childhood. Mine would taste like disappointment then.
Oh.
Peach or bath.
Yeah.
Tutti frutti. I don't know what tutti frutti actually is,
It's
like
just
mixed.
fruit.
but it sounds better than stinky
Tastes like
socks.
fizzy fruit bubble.
Coconut or spoiled milk, which I have had,
Oh.
and I will tell you, it's as bad as it sounds. It's worse because you can't get it out of your mouth because the jelly beans get stuck between your teeth and you keep tasting it again and again
Again.
and again. Caramel popcorn or moldy cheese.
Yeah.
Chocolate pudding or canned dog food. So these are the pains that we are putting ourselves
Can I
through.
say for the lactose intolerant person that I can avoid the milk one and the other
It doesn't
milky one?
actually have milk in it. It's just a taste.
Okay.
So you're not getting out of it that easily.
We'll find out, won't we?
Maddie May, probably the one with the most pageant experience and modelling experience. What have you really enjoyed and what are some of the aspects that you found a little bit challenging?
Well, I think between Ruby and I, we're probably about equal.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think we've both had about the same amount. But things that I've enjoyed being a youth worker, I like mentoring people, I like helping people, I like to be someone that people aspire to be like and train the next generation and be someone influential. So for me, it's not so much about getting the title, but it's about what I can do with that title and who I can help and who I can inspire.
Mhm.
That's important to me, which is why I started my campaign and spoke about mental health and my dad passing and so many different things that people don't really talk about.
And your
And I wanted
dad
to
passed
change.
away during he passed away
Last September.
as you had, I know, but as you've actually had this title. So during your hold of this title, he's actually passed during that.
Yeah, he has. So, yeah, just speaking about that and advocating for mental health, which is why he passed. And, just being someone that is approachable, yet talking about something that's real. And trying to change the stigma around what's going on in... Are you okay?
Yeah. I'm listening. I'm like, oh.
I thought you were still tasting that jelly bean.
Yeah, no, I am still, yeah.
You listen to what Maddie's saying, you're going,
But I think in our society, people look at people with depression and mental health and they go, oh, let's medicate you. You've got an issue, let's put you in a box and let's give you a name for that issue, instead of going, you know what, you might have had a bad year, you might have had a bad month, something might have happened. Let's talk about it. Let's get you out of that bubble. Let's fix what's going on and, pull apart the layers of the onion and figure out what's going on at the core of the issue, to then layer all the layers back on and make you feel whole again. So that's what I want out of this, and that's what I want to do out of this. And that's why I do what I do. And that's kind of just ingrained into who I am. I've always been this person. But what I don't like is the charity aspect, the fact that you're forced to do it. I think that it should be something that you choose to do and something that you should feel connected to. And
So to make it super clear, so you do like obviously helping charity. I know you
Yes.
like doing it, but you don't like some of the ways, some of the hoops, I guess, that girls are forced to go through.
yes, I don't like doing it from a very clinical sense or working with the charity that's very clinical and like money. I want to go out and I want to talk to the people that need the help. I want to give them the money. I want to give them the food. I want to inspire them. I want to work with them.
So you want to be very hands-on.
Exactly. I don't want to be someone that's like, here, I'm going to donate my money to you that I've raised over the past 6 months and then you go and do the work. I want to do that work.
You want to see where the money goes. I know that's
Exactly.
important to you.
Exactly. And that's hard for me when I don't have that connect between the people and the effect that it's having with the people. people don't always do it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And there's also a stigma around, being a mental health advocate, but not actually doing anything for it and not having the passion. And I think that's silly.
Okay. Let us move on. You did say 2 times, but since it's your actual event, I think we'll let you off the hook for that time. Because you're getting really into your story. I didn't want to interrupt your heartfelt story by going, have a jelly bean. Sarah doesn't have that advantage. So, Sarah, you're new. Welcome to Pageantry. This is what we do to each other.
Disgusting Jellybeans. Great.
So, I guess to be fair, you probably haven't had enough experience so far to say what you haven't enjoyed. Why don't you give us an overview as to how you've enjoyed it or why you got into it in the first place?
Yeah, so I really got into pageantry at the beginning of this year. So it's been a very short period of time so far. And it was completely out of the blue. It was just an ad on Instagram. And I kind of just jumped in. But throughout it...
You've actually said it 3 times.
Okay. Well,
one per rant.
Oh, that's a bad one.
Okay. Let me focus on not saying
Now you can say whatever you want.
I was about to say I have really enjoyed meeting the people that I have met, and the community of pageants has been very open towards me, I've found. Mm-hmm. I feel as though it's been very welcoming, and I've met Maddie and Ruby and Rachel and Adrian very, very quickly into my journey. So I've kind of had any questions, they've been there for it. Mm. And I feel that that's been really, really helpful to me and really good that the pageant community is that welcoming. I haven't really had too many negative experiences yet. I feel that, I completely agree with you that if you're raising money or doing a fundraiser, it should be for the right reasons.
Sure.
And I completely agree that, if you're supporting a charity, you shouldn't just be raising the money. You should be going and seeing what that's doing and seeing how you're helping and getting involved in that in every way that you can. So I completely understand that. I also understand what you were saying about the ticket prices of pageantry.
I know when I went international, there was a part that was people's choice, and you had to pay $1 per vote.
Yes, I've seen that.
And some girls spent, I think it was $4,000. The girl who won, I think, spent $6,000, and she won, and she put the money into it at the last second. So put
other people couldn't put more in.
Yeah. So she put it in, I think it was 5 minutes before the voting closed, so that she knew she would get into the top 5.
That's terrible.
Yeah, because People's Choice is guaranteed a spot.
Yeah, in the top 5.
And that started creeping into Australia now?
And this particular lady was very argumentative, rude, and just not a nice person. And they were very upset.
I understand. What I did find gratifying was there was an Australian pageant here who instigated that this year, and a lot of the girls said they didn't want anything to do with it. So they literally didn't advertise People's Choice at all, so they ended up with 0 because it literally was $1 per vote. And I actually applaud that.
I think I got 5 votes.
So the contestants have to pay?
No, anyone. So if I'm running for it, or let's say you're running for it, if you want People's Choice, I can go to a site, pay $10, and that's 10 votes for you. Or if I pay $100, 100 votes. Or you could pay for yourself, yeah.
And you can pay for yourself.
So terrible. Okay.
So that's one aspect, and that's by no means a majority or anything like that, but it does exist.
When people abuse it like that as well, if you're voting in because you really believe that someone would be a fantastic queen and you're really supporting the journey, that's fantastic. But when you're just abusing the power like that, then it's just pointless.
Let's move on to Miss Adamson. And everyone stare at Sarah's
What's
Jellybean.
the possible flavours?
I'm pretty sure that isn't it.
Dog food.
No, black is skunk.
Yeah, so it's
skunk or licorice.
I don't even like licorice.
Me neither.
Either way, it's going to be bad, so just eat it.
Welcome to Pageantry.
It's licorice.
Okay, lucky you.
That is licorice. Oh, that's the better option. I might actually prefer a skunk spray.
I love licorice.
Licorice is great.
Do you want to try another black one?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Give it a go.
Miss Adamson.
Yes.
Pocket rocket.
Yeah.
Is that
My whole thing is tiny but mighty. But if you want to call me a pocket rocket, you can call me a pocket rocket.
I like tiny but mighty.
Okay, so in your many years of competing, what are some of the highlights and what are some of the things that you feel need to change?
Personally, for me, I think the best thing about pageantry is the life skills you learn. And for me, I was a very shy, very antisocial teenager. I know, hard to believe.
No, me too.
No one
But
at
what
this
happened?
table believes you.
But with pageantry, I was really kind of able to break out of my bubble and be my own person, and that has taught me many fantastic skills. I'm confident, and which is a good thing, is I'm not scared of what people think about me. If you don't like me, you don't like me. That's the end of that. But as long as I'm doing what I'm doing and I love myself, that's the most important thing. But in regards to probably the worst things that I have found, it would have to be girls who are they work so hard, and you know that they're not just in it for the crown, they're in it for the title, they're in it for the job. And those girls, they may not be the prettiest girls, they may not have the best gowns, they may not have the money, and they are not given the choice to actually have that title. At the end of the day, with a lot of pageants, it comes down to this girl is prettier, she has the gown, she has the money,
She has the
she's the one
connections.
who wins. But if you're someone like, I know with all of us, I've spoken to you all today, and I know that you girls are passionate and you have a story and you have a goal. You're not just here because I want a pretty crown. As nice as they are, we
Just like, I'm the only girl who doesn't have
I would love a crown.
I want one.
I think that there's power that comes with the crown.
Well, we have a destination, but the journey is the most important thing. So I think that for me is something that I get really disheartened about, because I believe that the girl who works the hardest should win at the end of the day. With this journey, I have been focusing on the destination. I have. We all do it. We're all excited about going over internationally, and that we forget our whole purpose. So I have had that month where I've just been so focused on what I can do internationally, but I haven't thought about, okay, what do I want to leave as my message when I hand over my crown?
Well, first off, I'm extremely disappointed you didn't actually say on or like or.
Gosh, very good
She actually made it through. So Ruby Adamson.
Destiny of you, I'm coming for you.
Let me just flip the switch a little bit here. A question that crossed my mind is: have either of you two, as the ones with the most experience in pageantry, have you ever been tempted to step away from pageantry?
Definitely.
So
But
many
in
times.
saying that, I have had an experience that has been horrible.
Oh, I've had a few.
Well then. But I would not change it for the world, because at the end of the day, that has taught me a lesson, and I've learnt something from that. And it's something that I can take and tell other girls, in a good way, obviously. I'm not about bad-mouthing anything.
No, because it doesn't get
But-
us anywhere.
No, to have that experience and be able to tell someone, okay, you just need to be aware of this, and this, then I think it's important. So I wouldn't change it for the world.
I think sometimes financially it's a bit of a burden, and it's really hard to hold down a full-time proper job. And I think in that sense it's a bit of a burden at times, because I know, I mean, in the past month I've travelled to India, and in a week I'm going to America. So in my past month I've barely been in Australia.
I would actually go so far to say I think in Australia it's impossible. Maybe in other countries such as the States or the Philippines.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more money in the industry there, it's bigger. But in Australia, you want to hold it down to 9 to 5. I actually think it's a big disadvantage, unless your parents pay for everything.
Exactly.
In which case, that's a little bit odd.
Yeah. Which is, it's really hard, and I think financially it's difficult.
Pageantries are not cheap, people.
No.
Just to put it out there.
Especially when you win an international.
Yeah.
Like, they are so expensive.
Sorry, my crown is that.
Should we all take our crowns off?
I don't have one.
Should we do it?
Neither does Sarah.
Are we going to decrown?
I think we
Put them in
should.
front of you.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, this will take an hour.
Got to do well.
Welcome to pageant life.
Hello, people.
Their crowns are moulded. Last one to get their crown off has to eat a jelly bean.
Oh,
This is not fair.
Are we keeping sashes on?
Yeah.
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 Ruby is really struck.
Hold on, that's one side.
It's riveted
Do you want
into
me to,
your
like-
head.
It's good, mate. It's good.
That's so funny.
All good, mate.
Continue. I'll just
All right.
speak.
We'll just stare at you.
Well, Rachel, what about yourself? Where do you see your pageant journey going? I mean, you've only been in it for about 6 months now.
Yeah, see, I haven't had enough experience, I think, to say where I'm going to go with it. What I've gotten out of pageantry, like the modelling has come directly out of pageantry for me. I never thought I'd do modelling. I never thought I'd do pageantry. It's just stuff that I've kind of fallen into. So I don't have a plan for it. I have a plan for every other section of my life except for that. You know what I mean? Like you can't, when you've been in it such a short period of time, you just don't know because you don't know everything that goes on or how it all works. I'm still learning how things work and what I need to do. And, you know, even like posing and walking, still learning how to do all that. So that's where I'm up to it right now.
Well, I mean, when you look at my most recent trip, I'm now signed with Mercedes and the face of Mercedes. I never thought that was going to happen. Like, I never would have thought that in my wildest dreams. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Good comes out of every experience.
That's true.
Take every experience.
I guess eventually the good doesn't always come out immediately.
No.
I've certainly had some experiences where there's no good out of it straight away.
No.
Yeah.
But maybe in retrospect, you look back at it and go, okay, I can at least find a meaning for it.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say, can we turn our attention to the audience participation? Because pageants will only exist if audiences actually people turn up to pageantry. What are we going to do, or why do you guys think the numbers are dropping? Because to me, the mystery is women's empowerment at the moment is a really hot topic. Pageantry is supposed to be about women's empowerment. Therefore, numbers should be going up.
But people
not
don't
down.
sell it that way. They're not like, oh, let's go to a pageant to empower women.
So what do you feel that we should change in order to actually align pageantry with women's empowerment?
I think maybe change the way they're approached, I think, by the people that run them. And like I've studied female leadership, just submitted my dissertation for that. So I know a lot about that. That's I know. That's my like area of expertise. So
go into that a little bit more, just so people who maybe haven't heard about this.
So I did a master's degree in education, but it was in educational management and leadership, and my dissertation was on a topic in female leadership. So I basically spent 3 years of my life dissecting female leadership, what it means in Australia specifically, lots of different things like that. So yeah, I've got a bit of experience in that area theoretically as well. So I think just the way that it's being sold to people, it doesn't line up with what's going on in the social context at the moment. We're seeing like a big shift towards what are women doing, how are we going to get them up towards a higher level, all that sort of conversation that's going on. We don't really see that in pageantry, and I feel like the reason for that is because it's called pageantry. I feel like the name of pageantry really limits it because there's a stigma around it, which isn't necessarily correct at all. Yeah.
What sort of reaction have you guys had to when you tell people you do pageants?
Oh,
Toddlers and tiaras?
Yes.
Pretty
That's the main one again.
pretty much, yeah. I've attended many events, and obviously with that you meet many people and you have to explain to them in numerous seconds what pageantry is about and what you're all about. So you say, oh, hi, I'm Miss Australia International. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's a pageant. And immediately it's like, oh, then you must have no brains.
Yeah.
Which...
That does seem to come up a lot.
Yeah. And, you know, obviously you're all just about looks and all that.
Well, not even that. People just don't believe you.
Yeah.
They don't believe you?
No.
Well, that you have a
They
brain or that you're doing pageantry?
They don't believe that you do pageants. They don't believe that it's a thing in Australia. If you were to say, oh, I'm Miss Australia, they'd be like, no, you're not. And then you'd have to be like...
but I am.
And then you'd be
No,
like,
you're not.
but I am. And they'd be like, yeah, but we don't really have pageants in Australia.
Let's be real. Outsiders, they know Miss Universe, Miss World.
Toddlers and tiaras.
Sometimes I don't even know what Miss World is. Usually it's Miss Universe.
Yeah.
And it's like,
oh, you know.
Everyone knows Miss
biggest,
Universe.
yeah.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And when you have systems that are pageant systems, it's like, we have more? Yes, we do.
yes.
But you always get that thing. It's like, what are you about? And I say, oh, well, you know, in fact, I have a brother with Down syndrome, all about raising awareness for Down syndrome and all of this. And immediately they're like, oh, okay. Some of them will go, oh, I need to change my mindset about pageant. Other people, they're just like, yeah, right. And I don't think we can ever really change that. All we can do is hope that the people who actually want to listen and take on that pageantries are good, that they'll go out and they'll actually make waves.
Yeah. What are we going to do about the numbers if pageantry is going to continue to exist in this country?
I think they need to add, I don't know how you'd advertise it, but before I came into the pageant world, I didn't know about, I knew Miss Universe and Miss World, but I didn't know that there were so many different systems because it's just not known among Australians. It's not
very niche.
not a huge industry. So I will punish myself.
She's self-regulating.
Oh my god.
So I will. So I think that advertising it more and bringing more awareness to it and to what we actually do and what pageant girls accomplish, because a lot of girls have made incredible feats in the pageant industry and accomplished really incredible things, and I think it needs to be I'll just advertise more.
You went into Miss World first, right?
Yes.
And you found that through an ad.
That was just an ad on Instagram,
and you just went straight into that.
I just applied and then just
That's how I
completely forgot about it. And then, a couple of months later, and a lot of girls at that pageant were the same way. Because you think, you see that and you're like, oh, Miss Universe. Ooh, okay. And so you just apply. And so I think that, advertising more about that would be a really great thing and get more people involved, hopefully. And
basically what you're saying is make it more mainstream.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it needs to go on the media more.
Yeah,
I think
agreed.
by making
Mainstream media.
putting it straight in the media and then getting kind of sponsors involved that are big businesses, people that would have attended volunteering events in order for them to make money, right? So
Sorry.
What's the green?
The green is lime or lawn clippings.
But there's another one
which is either juicy pear or booger.
It's booger.
Oh no!
oh god. I think it's something that people need to sponsor, but they need to sponsor in big corporate companies, and those companies attend the pageants.
Do you actually think that pageantry can actually ever become mainstream, or do you think that we need to not use the label pageantry? Because as all of you have said, pageantry, the word itself has a bit of a stigma. People don't believe you.
People, once they go to a pageant and they experience it, they'll realise that it's not toddlers and tiaras.
But then the numbers in the audience are going down, and participation in pageants itself is going down as well. So that's really difficult.
And a big thing that I think is really important is a lot of systems. They don't want you connecting with other pageants. I think that every pageant...
Which is really stupid.
Yeah.
It's very territorial.
Let's be real, every girl that enters a pageant, not everyone, but most of them are about women's empowerment. And as a pageant, I feel that together we should be supporting each other.
Most definitely.
I do think it's kind of crazy. I mean, I've played a lot of tennis, and for example, if you go to one tennis tournament, it's never a question, you played at that tennis tournament, you're not allowed to play at ours. That's not even a question. So in pageantry, that's a very real thing. Certain systems are not allowed to associate with others, and it normally comes down to the director.
Well, that's the thing. How can we expect everyone to support our system when we can't be bothered to support other ones?
So we have certain problems like that, but where do we start fixing them? Is it the competitors? Is it the directors? Do we raise the field, destroy everything and start it afresh? Do we call it something else?
There's two things that you can do. Speaking from an organisational cultural change thing, which is what I studied. So you can either do top down. So you start from the directors or whatever you want to do. Maybe you could even make a pageant association in Australia, something like that. I don't know.
Someone actually mentioned that to me privately and said we should have some sort of regulatory body.
Well, Irish Dancing does. So Irish Dancing has the Australian Irish Dancing Association, and it's run by a board, and that's how they make all their decisions. And it goes all the way around Australia, and it's very good. It's been around for quite a number of years now. So that's something that is an option. I don't know how realistic that is. And then, or you can do from the bottom up. So it comes from people just, like you and me, it comes from us, and we say, well, we want this change, and then they have to respond to the change. That's more difficult because you don't have a lot of control over the outcome that way.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of like voting. So you have an idea, you want it to happen, doesn't necessarily turn out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, those are your two choices, as Rach said.
I think
I don't think directors are going to let go of their directorship.
That's a problem then. Like, that's
But I
something
think
that you need
that,
to
they need
address.
to get with the program.
And I think especially with the queens that you are crowning, I would assume that they are empowering women and that being in the system, their experience should come into play in the system. So luckily for me, our director is awesome, just pointing it out there.
Burial.
Yes. But she is one, it's like, okay, girls, what do you think we can do to make this better?
Oh, that's cool.
And I think a lot
I
of
got to say,
directors-
that's a question I have not heard asked very
And
often.
I think that's a lot of things directors, you need to put your trust in your girls because realistically they're the ones doing it at the end of the day. They probably would know, okay, I think this could be a bit better if we did this or something like that. So I think it's really important that directors actually listen to their girls.
I don't think that there's like a quick fix. I'm trying to think like, what can we do to magically make this
I don't
better?
imagine that there is a quick fix, but I'm just asking, is there a fix? Because given the way that pageantry is going, because I've been involved in pageantry directly or indirectly for about 2 and a bit years now, and the numbers are going down. And I was just thinking about this the other day in terms of industries. If you remember when Uber came out, taxis, how did they go?
Not great.
Or you remember Netflix came out, how did Blockbuster go?
Not that great.
Right? And my whole thing is I think you either stay relevant or you cease to exist.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And I think if the numbers are going down for pageantry, it's hard because at some point it's not relevant anymore. But I don't understand that because women's empowerment is 100% relevant right
so
now.
then maybe it needs to be connected more because right now there's not enough focus on women's empowerment within pageantry.
Let me ask you. We're going around the table. I'll start with you, Ruby. What does women's empowerment actually mean? Because we float this word around a lot, and I'm interested to know what you guys actually think
That's actually
women's
a good
empowerment
question
means.
Because, well, I'm probably the youngest one here, but there's the different age.
You're 55.
Yeah, I'm 19.
Same!
Oh,
No way.
good. Okay, we got
No, she's younger than you because she's born in
October.
There you go.
What
So
year?
99.
99. Okay, I'm July.
Okay.
Beat you.
Okay.
Women's empowerment. I win.
So for me, with women's empowerment, I personally just want to see women supporting each other. That's what I guess not just women, but men as well. Is just to support because, let's be real, where would we be without some amazing women today?
Well, actually, everyone has a mother.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, so we'd be nowhere.
Yes. And yeah, like as someone said, I can't remember who it was, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Would you like another one? As someone...
That we have a mother and then when we die, we're given to Mother Nature. So a female figure is always in our life. And I think it's just important that we support each other. We want equality. Let's create equality. And I will take this right now. I know this is rotten egg, I think.
I think
Or
it is.
buttered popcorn.
Or buttered popcorn, yeah.
Let's find out.
Can I just like swallow it really fast? Not
No,
worry
you
about
gotta chew it.
No, because then you're going to choke and I'm going to have to do the Heimlich maneuver.
It's buttered popcorn.
Oh.
That's two that I've had now that have been nice. So I'm happy.
I have not had one nice one so far. Sarah, women's empowerment, what does it mean to you?
Women's empowerment for me is just women having the choice of what they want to do. So often we're told like, oh, feminism is like about women being able to work. I'm like, but they can also be a stay-at-home mom or they can choose to not work. So it's just about having that choice because that's, we should all have the right to have a choice. So to me, that's what it's what we're aiming for. What I'm aiming for.
I think for me, it's women supporting each other but feeling like you have a place to belong at the end of the day and knowing that no matter what happens, there are other people out there that have been going through the same issues and will support you and empowering each other and being supportive to each other. There are heaps of people that can mentor you. All of you girls are incredible and I think you've all done amazing things, but I look to what I did a year ago and what I did 2 years ago and what I did 3 years ago and to see how I've improved and who helped me improve and the people in my life that I was inspired by to be able to do that for myself. And I think it's important to encourage other people doing that and empowering themselves.
Absolutely. Miss Gallagher?
Yes.
Unleash a dissertation.
Oh, no. Well, the beasts.
How do you feel about toast?
I love toast. It's amazing.
What is toast? Toast is...
Awesome.
Sorry, private joke. Continue.
No one's going to take me seriously after saying that.
Is there a toast flavour in the jelly?
No, but there should be.
Women's empowerment.
Now, I don't like the term women's empowerment for the reason that I feel like it's very loaded. A lot of people say women's empowerment, and they go, oh, yeah, we'll empower young girls and women, and they can never define it. They never know what it means, which is why I'm assuming you're asking. So I don't personally use it. I try not to use it so much because I don't want to colour what I'm saying with a specific type of view that's coming from society that doesn't necessarily understand female leadership from the viewpoint that I'm coming at it from. So I would say female leadership to me is about affording opportunity to women and also men as well, because it gets rid of lots of different stereotypes and stigmas around what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, all those different types of things. And I think that, it affords us opportunities to do things that we otherwise might not have been able to do, and also to give back opportunity to other people. So by being empowered, you have the opportunity to empower others.
I feel that's a good answer. I feel the same way about the word feminism. I feel it's an extremely loaded word. I call it the other F word. Because you say it and people either love you or they look at you and go, oh, you're one of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a really, just point blank and be honest. Would you guys identify yourself as feminists? I got Maddie saying no. Are you a...
Really? See, I would say yes, of course, because I probably have just explored it more than what a normal person would. Like, I've gone into it in an academic sense.
Yeah, but without having to justify, because that's a funny thing, that it's such a loaded word. No one can say yes or no. It's a yes, but, or it's a no, and. So you're a yes, you're a no, you are a...
Undecided. I would say I'm someone who believes in equality. Yeah. And if by feminism you mean
that's exactly
equality,
where I go into.
And
I just feel that feminism has, when you say it, people are like, oh, what do you mean by that? Like, do you want women to take over the world and men be slaves? But that's not what it actually is about.
But for some people it is. See, that's the problem with you need to define. But Ruby, what about yourself?
I would not classify myself.
See, and I think that's really, really interesting.
I think there's people that take it too far and they don't shave their armpits and shave their legs.
That's a completely different type,
No, but I think that by saying that you're a feminist, you're associating with a large group of people that may be extremists and may not be. And I would say that I like to empower people and I like to promote women and I like to work with women, but I wouldn't call myself a feminist.
Call myself an equal opportunist.
Yes.
There you go.
I like that.
Thank you. Yes.
I can see your wheels.
I'm trying to,
but I can see both. I can see both sides of the table, because I think for most people who haven't delved into it as to the extent academically 3 years in a dissertation, I would probably assume that most of them default to no because it has a negative connotation. Whereas you come from the point of female leadership, it's probably, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost to the point where we don't actually say something like feminism. What's the point? Yeah.
Well, you see, if this is the thing that I always think about, the thing I started thinking about when I went into the whole feminism thing, I didn't actually identify as a feminist either. For a really long time, I refused to talk about it, just wouldn't talk about it at all. I thought it was stupid, to be quite honest. And then I had an experience which changed my mind on that. And since then, I've become much more interested in women's experiences. So if you are interested in women's empowerment, women's experiences, even if you enjoy having small things that we take for granted, like having the right to vote, you're a feminist. In my opinion, you're a feminist, because that's all that came from. All of those rights that we have now, the ability to go back to work, came from feminism. Even though there are extreme parts of feminism, there's also extreme parts of religion. So if you identify as a Catholic or identify as a Muslim or something like that, there's always different parts of those things.
There's always
doesn't
an
necessarily mean you are.
extreme part,
Exactly, yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yes, yeah. I've been
There you
thinking
go.
about it.
Why did you put up a post today? There's a video of you at Grand in a bikini.
Yes.
Why did you use the hashtag on that bad feminist?
Oh, so there's this lady that I've been following for a little while now. She came out to Australia recently. Her name is Roxanne Gay. Now, she is a feminist and she calls herself a bad feminist because she likes things like romance movies and pink, which you wouldn't usually associate with feminism.
You mean pink the collar, not pink the
Yeah,
thing.
pink the colour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So she likes all that sort of thing. And she has written many essays on this topic and what it means to be a feminist now and enjoying the things that are typically feminine, but still being a feminist, which you can be both. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What would you guys think about men who say they're feminists? Would you say, okay, that's BS, they're just saying that because they want to be popular, or do you think that's actually a thing?
In my mind, feminism, like, I completely understand. Like I said, that there is an extreme part, and that's why it's always hard to just say, yes, I'm a feminist, or no, I'm not. But in my mind, feminism is just someone who believes in equality. So I just think it's another word for it.
No, I know where you're coming.
No, I said
Oh, you,
See, I've forgotten about it now. I'm not even eating the Jellybeans
you
anymore.
did actually say in your
regulated
last
myself.
one. So.
What is it? No, this is the bad one. I'm not eating it. I'm hiding it in here.
No.
You have to eat it. I ate that.
I just think that, yeah, like, there are definitely points, and it's definitely hard to, there's both sides to the argument, but if someone was to say that, it's a hard point, but I would
Because there
believe
are
them.
some men now who famous, I don't want to say come out because that has a different connotation, but Benedict Cumberbatch recently said the actor behind Sherlock and, Ruby, help me out, the Doctor Strange. He's he's a huge actor now in Star Trek, and he said he wouldn't work in movies where the female lead didn't get equal amounts of pay. Did you get Booker again?
Wait,
No,
speckled
no,
grey? A speckled grey jelly
Green?
Green or grey?
I think it was grey.
Oh.
Grey?
Well, there's coconut
Spoiled milk?
one, spoiled milk. Does it taste like coconuts or gross milk?
What does it taste like?
I'm worried about your taste buds if you can't tell whether it's a good
I
one
don't
or a
know,
bad one.
I ate it.
It's all gone.
People that made these flavours, did they actually eat like dead fish and stuff like that to make it? Anyway.
I would think
Not
not.
fish, you mean?
Well, what do you mean dead
Technically,
fish?
that's
Yeah.
dead fish.
Yeah, because there's like it says, where is it?
It's off fish.
I don't understand dead fish. I would understand rotten fish because
Isn't it
it's not
rotten?
like light.
Well, it says
live
strawberry
fish.
banana smoothie or dead fish.
Maybe it's like uncooked, like,
Or like
floating in a
rotten
river.
fish.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I would
just
assume
think
rotten
they
fish.
mixed a bunch of flavours
Yeah.
together. I got
This is
someone to
what's
taste
done.
them and was like, oh, that tastes like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll give it that.
Put that out in the world.
Okay, let's wrap up this discussion with I'm going to ask each of you one of the questions I may have asked you in interviews, and if you have the same answer, you have the same answer, but maybe you have a different answer now. And the question will be, what do you think the biggest challenge facing young women in Australia
I got this at Miss World.
is?
Oh.
And potentially also what you think that we can do about it, because it's one thing to identify a challenge or a problem, but it's a completely different thing to come up with a solution. I mean, pageantry as an example, we've identified some shortcomings. I'm not sure that we've come up with a solution, but I mean, you've got to start by. I feel people in pageantry often want to tell you it's the cure to everything, and it's really not.
It's what you make of it.
Yeah.
You might make it the cure to everything, but that's because you chose to take that journey.
Yeah. I also want to be very real about it. So the reason why I started this whole thing was to be very real about it. You okay?
I have hair stuck to my finger and it's not coming off. Okay, there we go.
Hair?
Yeah, it was
Like
piece
a
of
Your
strand.
own hair.
Yeah. Is it your hair or you?
There's a lot of hair in this room.
It's really scary. So I thought that was like, like a ghost. The girl from The Grudge is underneath the table and you've suddenly got her hair in your fingers. Ruby says,
For
look
that
at, look at Ruby's face. Is that the girl with the broken jaw that's like...
I don't know. Yeah, it is actually.
Go over here.
You look petrified.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Hang on, have none of you seen The Grudge?
No.
No. I don't like
No,
it.
It's a properly scary.
Yeah.
Which is why I haven't
Oh, you've seen it.
I haven't, but my friends, I used to torment them at school.
There's a scene. There's
That.
a little boy in that movie as well, and he's a ghost as well. And because he's so little and he hunches over, he'll hide underneath tables and things like that, and he'll grab your leg.
Just
Oh.
need to clap. No, there's nothing there.
Oh god.
Okay, the door just went. Now I'm freaking.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight now.
Me and Maddie are just like, what's happening?
Yeah,
I
I've got a message that I need to answer quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
Before
Let
we
me stretch. My back hurts from sitting up straight.
We'll make this our last question, and then I'm going to scare you all
So
to
what
death.
we feel the biggest
one
problem
second.
is.
Biggest challenge facing young women
did anyone
in
hear that?
Australia is.
is
Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Go, Ruby.
For me, personally, it would have to be that no one can be themselves. They're always looking at, oh, if I present myself this way, it's going to get me followers.
That's a real
And-
struggle, yeah.
You get so in that mindset of, I have to be this every single day. And I think that's just so damaging because when you lose who you truly are to be someone else, then you're not yourself.
That's well said. I think because we're reaching the end, I think the reward for our answers will be one last jelly bean.
Oh, come on.
You may pick your own.
Oh, okay.
You may not smell them. Once you touch it, it's yours.
Pick the least offensive.
I'm going to go with the full spots.
Okay, and don't eat it now. We're all going to eat them at the same time.
Okay.
I will partake in this as well.
Great.
Sarah, your answer.
So I would say that mental health would be one of the biggest issues facing young people. The amount of pressure that they're under, whether it's school or family or social lives, it's causing a lot of anxiety and, other mental health issues that they aren't feeling that they can talk about. At school, I read something, I don't know if it's true or not, but that it was saying that high school students are experiencing the same amount of anxiety that people in mental health hospitals were in the 1950s. And that's absolutely insane to me. But it's true because there is so much pressure on young people to perform all the time and perform really well academically and in sporting and
Everything.
and also the
Yeah.
overdiagnosization
yes.
of medication. Something like I think it's 85% of children are overdiagnosed with ADHD and given Ritalin and other drugs. 85%.
That's insane. And then
It
I
happened
think
to me.
but I think that people also just aren't feeling that they can talk about it. I was really, really fortunate that the high school I went to had a fantastic counselling system and was able to help me.
That is extremely lucky.
I was
Yes.
I'm so aware of how fortunate I was, and I know that if I was at any other school, I wouldn't have had that. And young people, they aren't feeling that they can go and talk to people because they feel that they're being silly or that they're being dramatic or that they shouldn't be feeling this pressure from school because it's just school. So I feel that people should be free to talk about it a lot more, whether it is, in a formal setting or just with your parents or with your friends, just feeling not feeling the stigma of it really, feeling that you can open up about it and not be judged so harshly.
Yeah. Well said.
Thank you.
Take it to Jellybeans.
I'm going to have one of these. I'm going for this one.
Do you realise what that is? Don't you?
No.
Maddie Kate May.
Yeah.
Is it vomit?
Yeah.
Dang it.
We're all going to eat them at the same time. You're going to have to put two in your mouth, and I'm hoping to God those are both bad ones because they've been really gross. Okay, Maddie May, focus on your answer first.
Yes.
Jellybean second. So, the biggest challenge you feel facing young Australian women today?
Expectations. The expectation to be perfect, the expectation to be beautiful, the expectation to be smart, the expectation to know what career you want at 15, the expectation to go to uni, the expectation to be making money, the expectation to have a house, and I could continue on.
Family.
Yeah, family, career.
Be happy all the time.
Yeah.
Be the
instead of-
support of the family.
Exactly.
And make it all look effortless.
And
And
we were having this conversation before. Instead of looking at all the things that you don't want to do in your career and all your non-negotiables, use that to find what you want to do and have as many opportunities as you can and grow and change and look at your past and, you know, compare yourself to your past and continue to make yourself happy in what you want to do, in the family that you want to have, in what makes you happy. And I think the expectations that we have cause mental health issues and cause a lack of empowerment and all sorts of different issues throughout society. And I think if we strip away the expectations, heaps of issues will go away.
And I think that people, like you said, they are suffering from mental health because of those expectations, because they feel that they should be achieving them.
Yes.
When it's every person is so different.
Yes.
Especially in like the education and college system that we
Most
are
definitely.
all expected to go through. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's
And I
like
think
trying
particularly with our generation, it's gotten a lot worse.
The expectation to go to university, to have a degree, to go and work corporate and to know what you want to do for the next 50 years.
Yeah, like
Good
a
luck
month
with
ago
that.
I had to ask a teacher to go to the bathroom. Now you want me to decide like on my entire
That's really fun.
future.
But the difference between maybe, let's say, our parents' generation and ourselves, whereas in our parents' generation, you find a job, you work there 40 years, you get your gold watch, you retire.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the figure now is an average person, young person, will have 7 full-time careers, not jobs, 7 different careers.
Fantastic.
That's amazing.
But parents often hear that and go, oh, that means you're indecisive.
Yeah.
You look at it and go, that's fantastic. I'm doing all these different
There's
things.
so many things we all want to accomplish in our lives. Why should you have to just do one? Like, I want to be a mum, but I also want to be a career woman. And
Yeah. And you want to work for the Queen.
I want to work for the Queen and have lots of animals, and I'd love a llama.
And you want to live on a farm.
With your llama.
Me and the llamas.
Don't worry, we were paying attention.
Maybe you're going to take a jelly bean.
I'm going safe.
Is that okay?
There's
Oh.
no safe collars. They're
No,
all
that's lawn.
50-50.
Lawn
Lawn
clippings
or
or
lime,
lime.
and they're not too bad.
That is the safe.
Does that mean she should take another one?
Yeah.
We have a no and a yes. You said yes, you said no. You're the deciding vote. Should she take another one?
No, because that means that I
Okay.
might have to take another one.
Only thinking about your children.
Well, you know. In situations like
She
this.
is the Queen.
Let's be real, it's a life or death situation.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, maybe for some of you, we have a garbage bin. So, Rachel,
Yes.
the small question of the biggest issue facing young women in Australia today.
Yeah.
I know you might find it difficult to nail it down to one.
It's hard. It's hard for me because it's such a big area and something I've been looking at for so many years now. I'd say probably the biggest thing is confidence. All those things that you were talking about, you have to have an inner strength to be able to do those things. You've got to start from the very, very beginning. Break it all down, go back to the first brick that was ever laid down when you made the house, basically. So we have to have things in place in schools or just in society in general. And I even think sometimes that all that external stuff just needs to go, and you need to be alone with yourself, and you need to figure out who you are, what you stand for, and how that's going to affect the rest of your life and how you want to grow. That's really, I think, the biggest thing that we're all facing. And I think it even goes beyond young people. It's even into adults. Like, I'm 25. And
I'm not.
no, yeah. Well, I'm 25, but I know people who are even older than me, in their early 30s, in their mid 30s, who are still trying to figure it all out. So it's not about a certain age; it's about a certain mindset and point that you're at in your thinking at that time.
Looping that back to pageantry, that's something that I've really found with pageantry, is that it has made me just feel. It's kind of weird because you think that you'd be self-conscious being on a stage, but like, there's photographers, everyone's cheering, and you're like, oh, it's pretty cool right
so
now.
enlightening, isn't
Yeah.
it? And just stepping out there is so hard, but once you're there,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal.
Facing your biggest fears and then not completely falling on your face. It's
Exactly. It's a
very good.
win-win
Yeah.
situation.
I walk out, I'm like, hey everyone, I'm here. How we doing?
Thank you so much for coming.
Joey smile.
How you
The how you doing?
How you doing? Yeah.
That is a point well taken, Rachel's answer. I do really agree. You need to start on the inside.
Yeah.
Before, and that manifests kind of automatically on the outside. But it's whole fake it till you make it. Well, if you don't actually believe in yourself, you can't do any of the other things. People will see through it. But Miss Gallagher must take her jelly bean.
Oh, yes. I'm getting the green one because I'm a chicken. So
Yes.
Now,
Okay.
we are going to all eat them at the same time.
Am I eating
Wait,
both
are
at
you
the
going to
same
answer the
time?
question?
Oh yeah, you have to answer the question. It's not
What
fair.
was the question?
It's your question.
I was getting so concerned about this, I've forgotten the question.
What is the biggest
What is
problem
it?
facing women in Australia
Oh, the
today?
biggest
Young
challenge
women,
facing
Australia.
And
young
what would
women.
you do to change it or help?
Oh, you made it bigger.
Yeah.
You made it Miss World worthy.
Oh.
Do you know
I-
what I got asked?
I feel it's a combination of the expectation and the confidence. What I will say about expectations is I would ask where the expectations come from. So are you talking about expectations that come from your parents? Are you talking about expectations that come from yourself? In which case, just stop it. But I do think that the psychology, and I say that having been someone, I mean, you've worked so much in the leadership field. I've worked in the personal development field, which is basically the same, except
Very
it's completely
similar.
unregulated.
Yes.
And then you'll say, I'm a life coach, and I'm looking at them going,
Are you though?
I'm horrified. But I wish that in schools we were taught, maybe that's my answer, I wish we were taught different things in school. Because I asked my best friend this, who has kids, and I asked him what's the point of school? It's certainly not to pass standardized tests. I kind of think at the end of it, you should come out knowing how to be healthy, how to be, and that's physically and emotionally, how to have a career that fulfills you and pays the bills, because those two shouldn't have to be mutually exclusive. And then something as basic as how can I have a healthy relationship, not just with my partner, but with my friends. And then if you make a checklist of those things and go, which ones does school actually teach you? You're kind of looking at it going,
answer.
aha,
Yeah.
okay, maybe career if you happen to be someone who's academically minded, which I know that you are.
I wasn't at school though.
You weren't at school?
No. I was very, very different to what I'm like now. It took me years.
I know, I saw a photo.
Yeah. I had
Black hair.
I had black hair. I cut all my hair off. I had a pixie cut bob thing, whatever. And it was black. I dyed it black. I had purple hair at one stage. This is going back like 10 years now. Yeah, basically. Yeah, it was back when like scene kids were in. This is like circa 2009. We don't speak about 2009.
I want to see a photo.
No, you don't.
Everyone knew My Chemical Romance because that was probably
Yeah.
them.
Yep, all those,
It
Green
wasn't
Day, everything.
Evanescence.
No,
My
that was a
Mortal.
bit like
I'm going under.
further. Yeah, that was before me. A long time.
Okay.
So,
But I didn't know. I figured you're so academic. I'm the opposite. I was so academic in school, and I now can't stand the idea of studying because I'd rather be out there. I don't want to say living life because that dismisses studying, but I feel you're going to give me 3 years. Would I want to spend it doing a degree, or would I rather spend it trying to start a business or being in a company that I align with? I'd much rather take the real hands-on skills. You showed me your essay the other day, and it gave me PTSD. I'm kind of going, I can't understand this. I don't want to look at this anymore. 'Cause I don't want to. Okay. But that's my answer. Probably change the education system.
I'd
Good luck
like
with
to
that.
have learned to do tax because I do not know how to do my taxes.
and that's why we have tax agents.
Count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Tax agents.
Oh, thank God.
Got a shitty one.
I have not got a single bad one. I'm
One's
really
good,
happy.
one's bad.
You're so confused. I don't know what this is.
No.
Is there burnt popcorn in there?
Yeah, there's buttered popcorn.
Oh, that's probably butter popcorn, which I don't like. So
I got lime, but you got booger because
No,
it was
I got lawn clippings, I think.
it was speckled, my love.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that would explain a lot.
there are 5 jelly beans left.
I'm
When
not
I give
eating
you
them.
your jelly bean, you will give the audience your
Or-
social media details.
Or I think that would be a better idea is that we let the
No, I think it
person
was
who
fish.
decided to do this to take all of them in one go.
I think it was fish.
Oh, well, that's all right. Just wash
There's
it down with those.
popcorn with an aftertaste of fish.
It's
fine.
Ignoring you.
It's all right. You've got other ones to eat.
My idea, I should eat them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you gave us this idea. I think it'd be great if you...
Okay, if you make it through your social media details, and if you want to give a shout out and talk about your campaign just quickly and do it straight to camera so we can wrap this up, if you make it through without one brain fart, I will eat it. If you have one brain fart, you need to eat it.
I'll have one.
Or do you just want to do one each?
Okay, I think that you just do one each.
White, orange, or brown.
Brown
Let me have a look
scary
at
I'm
to
not
me.
talking about it.
Spilt milk
Okay,
is
it's all fine. Everything's fine.
Sarah, Jellybean
I'm
up.
gonna go.
So go to camera, give the audience your social details so they can follow you.
And it's Dorito dust on it.
Dead fish with a coating of
Oh.
Dorito.
Oh,
Lovely.
wow.
What are
This
these?
is
So what's the orangey?
This
I
is-
don't know. At least you get the choice. I get whatever's
My
last.
one's white.
Chocolate
I think
pudding
yours might be
or
coconut
dog
all the way
food.
All right,
down.
I'm going to go for the
Mine's
white one.
pudding or dog
100% it's
food.
gonna be
Oh!
Okay.
But I do
Okay.
want the option
We'll go the
of
other way
milk
this
being
time.
a
The
lactose
milk.
intolerant person.
We'll keep
Yeah,
it
it's my
real.
choice.
My jelly bean has a nipple on it.
That's not
Speaking of
appropriate
female
to camera.
empowerment.
That's not appropriate to camera.
Nipples are always appropriate.
It looks,
Coated in Dorito dust,
it
you're
looks
right.
like
Oh.
a rubber ducky with no wings or feet.
Oh, that's dark. Okay, well, everyone knows my social media details because that's where that's going to be posted. But obviously the pageant project, and then we'll go to Rachel next.
So my Instagram is _RachG.
I don't know what this is.
Do you need me to spell it? Because mine's spelled weird.
Yeah, probably.
We're going to
All right. My Instagram is at Maddie May.
My Instagram is Sarah Jane Copeland and Sarah without an H.
And Copeland with an E.
Oh yeah,
Not Copland.
Copeland.
Oh, wow. And for me,
Oh,
my details are... We're not good here, guys. My details for Instagram is Miss AU Intel 2019, and my Facebook is Miss Australia International 2019. And she's having a mental breakdown right now.
Don't eat it. It's so bad.
What was it?
The milk one.
Spilled milk.
Oh.
And then if you want to follow my UR campaign, that's also on Facebook. So please check that out. And I'm going to eat this and probably die right now.
What was it?
It's spilled milk. It's so bad.
Hey, it's Adrian again. Thanks so much for watching or listening, depending on where you're consuming this content. As I mentioned at the beginning, I would love to hear your feedback as to what you think might need to change in the pageant industry, no matter which country you're from. I'd really like to get that feedback. So if you have a minute, let me know in the comments below, depending on where you're watching this, or in the podcast if you're listening to this, or send me a DM through Instagram or Facebook, or email info@thepageantproject.com, and let's open a discussion as to see how we can make sure that the pageant industry not only continues to grow, but continues to stay relevant and really continues to further the interests of the girls involved. So I look forward to hearing your feedback. Let me know any feedback you have, and I will speak to you again very soon.